here she is, guys. Here she is, guys. Okay, see how that works out. Well, here it is, guys. My brand new kayak, the Oldtown Sportsman 120 PDL. This is the very first pedal drive kayak that I ever owned, and it is definitely a big upgrade. When I was deployed, there was a lot of talk about there being a shortage on kayaks because of the plastic shortage, and they're like, if you're going to get one, you better get one now. So I figured I might as well put a pre-order on one, and maybe it'll show up by the time I get home. So I called around to all the kayak places in Jacksonville, Florida, and believe it or not, nobody was willing to do a pre-order except for one place. I got a hold of Black Creek Outfitters and asked them if they could get me a Oldtown Sportsman 120, if they could put a pre-order on it, and they said yes. You just put down a deposit, and I believe we have some coming in April, which everybody else was saying they probably weren't going to come in until October to December. So that was awesome. Kayak came in. I had Bubba go pick it up for me. He was nice enough to store it for me while I was on deployment. And then here she is. Man, when I got to see this thing in person, no regrets in purchasing this at all. You're going to be paying about $2,200 for one. That's as of 2021. That's what the prices are. I don't know if they're going to go up or down from there. But I'm very glad I picked this over the Vibe Shearwater. As you guys know, they're long-time subscribers know I had a Vibe Sea Ghost. So I was looking at the Shearwater and comparing the two, it was just no contest for me. This is a more stable kayak, more sturdy kayak. I like the storage better, and we'll go into that some more about what I mean by I like the storage better than Shearwater. And also you have Oldtown's award-winning PDL system, whereas the Shearwater, there's no reverse, and it's kind of a copy of the Hobie system. And there's no reverse. Whereas this, I have instant reverse. All I have to do is start pedaling backwards. I don't have to pull any cords. I don't have to take my hands off the rod and reel if I'm fighting a fish or if I'm about to go into a tree or anything. Just start pedaling backwards. So that's really what drew me to this over the Shearwater. Now the Shearwater price I show you is shown cheaper than this, but when you pay for the drive, it comes out to about $2,000, so you're paying $200 more on this one, but to me it's worth it. And as I go do a review of this, we're going to do up-close reviews. That way if you're thinking about getting one of these, you can get an in-depth look at what all you're getting. It's not going to be the typical YouTube review that I found where it goes a little something like this.
Yeah, so this is my Oldtown 120 PDL. As you can see, it comes with a lot of options. Here's the seat and the drive system. It's really nice, and storage. You know, just look at it. It's a great kayak. Can you see all the nice stuff they put in it? Look at it.
So yeah, there's a lot of reviews on this kayak like that all over YouTube, and that's what I kept finding. So instead of just being a bad mouth in the comments, I'll make my own review. That's what most people I wish would do. Anyway, so I'm going to get the camera, we're going to pick it up, we're going to get a close-up look at this kayak, and we're going to start from the front and go to the back and talk about what it has to offer. And when I get done with this, if you guys like it, also there's going to be a rigging video. We actually show that I rig it up. Right now, as it is, this thing's bone stock. There's nothing been done to it. Well, I take that back. I did add a keel guard on the front of it. So if you see that black thing on the very front, that's because I went ahead and added a Kayak keel guard to it. But other than that, she's bone stock. Let you guys take a look at it, and then when I get done with this video, I'm going to start rigging it out, and I can't wait. So up front here, we got our drain plug right here, to drain any water out. Everyone I talk to though says these are very dry kayaks, so hopefully I'll never have to use that. Nice molded front grip here, and of course your hatch, this is one of the things when I was talking about storage that drew me to this, because like on the Shearwater, this is just all open. And I don't want that. Like if I'm camping or if I'm wanting to store stuff I don't want to get wet, I like having a hatch. And also for guys that do fish finders and need batteries and whatnot, use the hatch to put your batteries and things like that for your fish finder, trolling motor, any accessories also that you don't want to get wet. Whereas the kayaks that just have an open front bow, I hate that. And everything's just exposed. You know, if you're taking waves over the front, then everything just got soaked. Whereas this has a nice sealed lid to it. And there's way more room up here in this front section than there was in my front kayak. So if you're someone that's into kayak camping and, like, you know, pulling along the riverbank, or you just want to do a shore lunch, there's plenty of room in here to store stuff all in there. If you want to put first aid kit, extra life jacket, spare paddle, heck, even probably fishing rods you could throw in here. There's plenty of room to do that. I know on my old one, I had the battery sitting right here. I think on this one, I'm a bit more towards the center of the kayak to try to get that center balance, but I'm also going to put a smaller battery in here for navigation lights. So now we have the very heart of the kayak. We have the PDL drive system. And man, this thing's awesome. The pads on it are super soft. A lot of guys change these out to putting like spiked pedals on here to get better grip, but I'm in Florida and it gets hot and I'll probably be barefoot a lot, so I don't know about spiked pedals. We'll just see how long these last, and if they don't hold up, then, you know, I'll replace them. If not, I'll continue to use them as they are. Still getting used to putting this thing in drive, like dropping it down. It's got that big spring on it. You just put it down, lock it in place, and away you go. It's very simple to operate. Navarre Kayak Fishing, if you go on their website, they have tons of accessories for these kayaks and the PDL system, like spacers here, just all kinds of stuff to keep this thing nice and stable if it starts getting loosened up as it gets broke in, which I don't think I've ever heard a lot of complaints about that. You have your dry storage hatch here, spring loaded. I mean, it doesn't fit a whole lot, but there's definitely room enough for your keys, your wallet, your cell phone, you know, your real valuable items that you want to keep dry. And another thing I like about this kayak, there's no raised compartment right here that's in your way. All this is flat, so you got room. You know, you got room to work when you stand up. If you want, when you go to stand up in this, you're not going to have to worry about straddling, you know, a storage compartment right here. This is pretty flush. And also, when you go to measure your fish, you don't have that big hump. You can lay one end down here, the other end up here, so they don't flop out. Take your bump board and lay it in like so when you go to take the picture of your fish, and it forces his nose to be down here so you can take your picture and get an accurate measurement. Or if you're just like me and you're fishing saltwater for trying to catch some fillets, this is good for when you're measuring fish. You don't have to worry about as much as them flopping out of the kayak versus if you had it sitting up like this. At least now they're down in the kayak, so hopefully if they flop off the board, they flop right into the kayak instead of over the side, which is a bad day. Here's a better look down into the compartment itself. You have sea deck right here to stand on, so your feet's not on slippery plastic, or hot plastic for that matter when the sun's coming down. So here's the locking mechanism to lock down your drive. Just turn to unlock it. You're ready to pull this up if you're in real shallow water or you're coming to the bank. Just put it up, it's that easy. You're ready to go. They also have pieces that fill in this hole if you're just wanting to paddle and not have the drive. Keep water from coming in here so much. On the sides you have areas to put your tools like your pliers or fish grips or spray or soft plastics, you know, things of that nature. And then you have your track system. Put your rod holders, camera mount, cell phone holder, whatever you want. I mean, fish finder, they make all kinds of stuff to fit down inside of these. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers the middle. Now we're onto the seat. So Oldtown gives you this really nice seat. It's really comfortable. You got a lot of support. You have adjusting straps, so you can make it more comfortable for you if you want to sit up more or lean back or recline, or probably go all the way back and take a nap if you really wanted to. You have a tackle storage compartment. here underneath the seat, and you put plastics, tackle trays, whatever you want, and then even more storage underneath the seat here. For me, that's where I'm going to be putting speed bags for my worms and soft plastics underneath here. And if you're wondering what the string's for, to adjust your seat, it slides on these tracks, and you pull these pins up. That's what adjusts your seat. Well, if you take these all the way off, you don't want to lose these pieces, so that's what the string's attached to both of these pieces to keep you from losing it. So that explains that. The front is clipped in on these tracks, but on the back there's a groove back here and a slick piece that slides on the kayak itself, but it's supported with really thick foam right here, so that's why they won't flex or bow or anything. And they also sell aftermarket seat risers if you wanted to raise your seat up some, if you think it's sitting a little bit too low. How it's held in is behind it. I'll show you in a minute. There's these straps that lock it into the back. They're just clips that clip in, and you can adjust the tension on that as well. So if you wanted to lift the seat up, you would unclip, you reach behind you, unclip it, and you can lift it up, and it'd be out of your way to get to this middle storage compartment that I'm about to show you now. Like I said, you just unclip these pieces here. Your seat folds up out of the way. You have your center compartment for even more storage or more kayak access. I'm all about being able to get access to the inside of my kayak. So like I said, this is another thing that drew me to this. Unlock, has a rubber seal that's around it. Keeps all the water out. Now you have more access in here. Like I said, this is probably where I'm going to store my battery for my fish finder, but you can put other things in there as well. Like I said, a survival kit, first aid kit, extra clothes, whatever you want, or like I said, you can have access to run wiring all through your kayak, and also you can get reach all pretty up in there pretty good. And here's the foam pieces I was talking about that run along here that help add stability and add support, so that it keeps this kayak from flexing. One last thing I will say about the seat: if you're a kayak bass angler and you use these catch boards, they fit perfect underneath your seat right here, and they sit right in this notch perfectly. So it's up out of the way, but you can still put things underneath your seat. You can have this clipped onto a carabiner. You got to measure your fish. You pull it out, put it down in the compartment, measure him, put it back. It's not going anywhere. It'll sit right there. So to deploy your rudder, you're going to use this large lever right here and rotate it back. See, it's really easy to bring it back up and down. It just folds up and down. Just obviously make sure that you don't have it bungee down, or else that's going to be a problem. So you have your steering knob right here beside you. This is the actual knob that you hold and move it back and forth. And this is your tensioning knob. That way if you want to set a course, you can just tighten this up and it'll keep the rudder in that position. If not, you can just loosen it up, and this moves it back and forth. If you can see back there, there's my rudder going back and forth. And what I love about this is on steel cables, not nylon rope, so you don't have to worry about it stretching or having to constantly readjust it over time, like I had to fight the battle with my Vibe Seaghost. I was constantly having to readjust my rudder system, but that was with my feet that I used that instead of a handheld system. That's one thing. Another thing that drew me to this is there's a lot better build quality. You have steel, you have metal. It's not going to stretch, it's not going to give out. So if you wanted to lock this down, turn your tensioning knob and it'll lock it down. you're good to go. Once again, they sell aftermarket pieces for this. So if you wanted to, improve it a little bit, like you would your car, your truck, and put a little bit different stuff on it, you can. Some other accessories that come on it. You have a paddle clip. I already put my paddle in there that I have. It holds it very well. This was real tight. I actually had to kind of stretch it out a little bit to actually get it to hook over my paddle, and it doesn't move or wiggle at all. Whereas my old one, all it was just 2 pieces of bungee that held it on there. It was an actual clip and a big thick piece of rubber. You have 3 rod holders, 2 of them facing rearward and this one facing towards the front. So if you hook a fish or you're needing to retie, you can put this rod holder so it's facing towards you and deal your line and not have to worry about the rod pulling against you. You got everything going the same direction that you are. Also, the kayak, just to talk about the texture for a minute, is smooth. So if you're one of those people that love to put your branding and your stickers and stuff all over it, these will actually stick, whereas the my Vibe Seaghost is all rough textured and I couldn't get anything to stick to it. So now if you're a YouTuber like me, you can put your channel name on there so people can come check you out. Back to the rod holders. I like how they included these little clips right here, so you can put like a keychain ring, and then you can put a carabiner on your rods. That way if you were to accidentally flip over, or like what happened to me, I had a fish pull my rod out of the kayak. We'll be learning my lesson from that. I will be putting lanyards on here and clipping them to my rod and reels that I have back here in the fish holder. So that's kind of cool how they already had that with the rod holder versus you having to install a separate one on here. Less holes in my kayak, the better, is what I say. Alright, so back here in the back you have your giant tank well. I mean, this thing is huge. It's like a truck bed. There's plenty of room to put back here to have anything that you would ever want. This bungee clip, you can do it one-handed. Open it up, and just to give you a size reference, I have a 20-quart Arctic cooler. So I have that sitting back there behind me. And you still have all this room right here. So for me, it'll probably be a cast net or something like that. I always bring a cooler with me. I don't put, since I fish saltwater and I live in Florida, I don't put my fish on a stringer because alligators and sharks, and yes, I have seen it happen. So all my fish that I catch go into a cooler. Back here, usually I use for cast net or bait bucket, something of that type. But it looks like I have enough room to put a bait bucket and a cast net, so bonus, another win. And then lastly, back here in the back, we actually have our rudder system. It's all plastic, but the hardware on it is all stainless steel, and like I was saying, for the steering, you have steel cables. This nylon line that you see right here, this is to raise and lower it. I'm so happy. You still have adjustment on these steel cables if you want to, but mine came perfect, so I don't see a need really to mess with these, so I'm going to leave them alone. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to mention is also while we're back here. As you can see, if you wanted to put a power pole micro anchor, they already have it pre-made for you to do that. But also, there's plates you can buy to put here where you can put anything back here. You can put an anchor wizard back here, so you can anchor up and wind it up and let it down from back here at the back. That's one of the options, or a camera mount, or anything you want really. But the two things I've seen is power pole and the anchor wizard back here. You might notice that there's no carry handle straps back here. Looks like there's one here, but I don't trust that. I mean, it's still plastic, so I'm not going to do that. But what they did is they have molded in grips right here. They're actually quite comfortable. They're not too fat, they're not skinny, they don't flex, and you got enough room to get enough hand in there to actually carry your kayak and be able to put it in the back of your truck or launch it or just move it. So I guess the very last thing we'll take a look at underneath is where the transducer goes. I'm not going. So this bracket right here is where your transducer would mount for your fish finder. I don't know what all, I know Oldtown is owned by Johnson Outdoors, which is who owns Humminbird. So these kayaks are, if you're putting in a Humminbird fish finder, which is like what I'm going to do, it's not that hard, but you might want to check the hardware to see what you need, because what comes with your fish finder might not match what's here, so you might have to play with that. But you would hook your transducer up, and then the wire would run through this scupper hole right here and come up and go into your kayak and go back to your actual fish finder system. You have a skid plate here right above your fish finder to help protect it. The transducer sits down in here, which helps protect it, but also it allows, if you have side imaging, where it can still look out left and right to the side for your side imaging sonar, whereas ones that like sit inside the hole, you can only use down imaging. So that's another benefit for this. Me being a fisherman, that was another reason that drew me to that. If you take a look at the hull, you can see what makes this such a stable kayak. You essentially have two pontoons, or like two sponsons on each side, which help you, acts kind of like a pontoon boat or like a platform, which makes you more stable versus having just a round bottom, which makes it, most kayaks, really tippy. Like if you think about like a canoe versus a pontoon boat, which one's going to be more stable? And also having this area recessed and sunk in, it makes the kayak a lot drier of a boat, because a lot of the water level is actually going to sit just below this section right here. And something I'm going to try with this particular kayak, since it is recessed like this, is I'm going to try to run LED light strips underneath this, and this kayak would be perfect for that, so you can run those and do some night fishing. So more reason to subscribe to the channel to see when I do that and how I do it and how it turns out. There you have it. There's my review of these Oldtown Sportsman 120. Everything inside and out, top to bottom, front to back. You got to see it all. And guys, if you made it this far through the video, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you could, please consider, if you liked the review, leave it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the review, leave it a thumbs down. I mean, also leave me a comment. Tell me why you didn't like the review so I can improve in my next one. And if you're looking to see what this kayak evolves into as far as rigging, go ahead and click that subscribe button right there and ring the bell so you get notified when the videos do go up. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, I'm Joe with Dinsmore Outdoors, and we always do more than this. Y'all take care. I'll see you out there.